Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you all for joining us for this week's lunchtime chat with Tlingit Haida. This week, we're here to learn about the Village Public Safety Officer Program. My name is Richard Peterson. I serve as the president of Tlingit Haida. My Tlingit name is Shakya Ish, and I'm Kagwantan from the Eagle's Nest House. We've been hosting these lunchtime chats for about the last 9 months now. And it's been a really great opportunity to just introduce our programs and staff to our citizens and community at large. This week, I'm really excited to be joined by Jason Wilson, who's our public safety manager here at the tribe, and some of his VPSOs that are with us. And they serve you in our communities and our villages. And really excited. I grew up in the village of Kisan, and having the VPSO is really an important thing to have, especially, some people just look at the law enforcement aspect, but really our VPSOs can serve so many roles, from EMT and fire and all those and rescue. And so really can be just the real lifeblood in our villages. So I'm excited to have these gentlemen with us today, and just have a really good dialogue and some questions and answers here. As always, for those joining us on Facebook Live, if you hit like on that, you'll be entered in for some door prizes. And we're going to go through some questions that we've prepared. But at the end, we'd like to hear from you, the viewer, our citizens. So share your questions with us, and we'll try to get to those before the end of the time. If we do run out of time, we'll do our best to make sure that we provide the answers to questions in the comment section. So again, Jason, can you tell us a little about yourself and how you came to be in this line of work?
Thank you, President Pearson. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jason Wilson. I am the Public Safety Manager for Tlingit Haida Central Council. I'm Eagle Killer Whale. My Tlingit name is Ketchka Ish. Born and raised in Juneau. My parents are John and Sue Wilson. I guess some brief history on me is my careers started back working for the state of Alaska as a youth counselor at the Johnson Youth Center. I was there for about 8 years, left there, went to the tribe as a youth advocate, and was a part of our youth leadership program, which was amazing, and very much missed that. I was fortunate to work my way up. I got to supervise ICWA for a few years, which was also amazing work. I was fortunate that the program kind of came back to the tribe. I think it was back in 09, for some reason it comes to Bell, but in 09, Georgia Fanal had approached me, and because of my background and getting to work with youth, but also some work with the PDs, the local PD, as well as the state troopers, I was given the opportunity to administer the VPSO program. Amazing stuff. I'm hoping today we can express the amazing things that these men and women do for our communities. I've been in charge of the VPSO program now for about 15, 16 years. When I first started the program, we had, I think, 2 or 3 VPSOs. We're currently sitting at 11 right now, and I hope to be up to 12 in the next few weeks. So very excited about the things that are happening right now.
So Jason, can you provide us with the background, why the VPSO program was created and what its mission is?
Sure. So back in about 1979, 1978, leadership at the time for the state of Alaska had figured out the uniqueness in trying to provide public safety for our rural communities. The idea of the VPSO came into play, and things kind of just kept being added as they were creating this position. The view was the state troopers have a hard time sometimes getting into our communities. Local emergencies, with local emergencies happening, getting people out to our rural communities was not easy. So, able to address that issue, the idea of our VPSOs being stationed in the communities, and then not just being law enforcement, but also being able to respond to other emergencies, whether it's medical or search and rescue. We were able to respond. That goes back to our motto as first responders, or last frontier first responders. So very cool. These guys wear about 50 different hats, and I don't know if people out in the community realize a VPSO doesn't just do law enforcement. They're the ambulance driver. They're the EMT. They work with the fire department. They might be the fire chief of that fire department. Um, Search and rescue. We also do local animal control. Many don't know, or many do know, we have black and brown bear just wandering through our communities at times. So these VPSOs go out and take care of those animal control. Just amazing work.
Jason, can you talk about the different communities we serve and where service is still needed, and also some of the different agencies you partner with?
Thank you, President Pearson. So I'll just go ahead and list off the communities that we currently work with in the community of Cake, Angoon, Pelican, Saxman, Heidelberg, Thorn Bay, and Kassan. And we're currently always open and looking at other communities that are interested in partnering up with our program and having us administer the VPSO program. I think that we're always looking at communities that currently don't have. I don't really want to name them, but I think we have communities that have a need and for some reason have looked at not wanting to have a VPSO program in their community. And looking at our partners, really part of our strength is partnering with the state of Alaska as far as with the state troopers. We work in conjunction with the state troopers. As I'm the supervisor of the program, we also have what's called a trooper oversight that handles the legal aspects of what our men and women do in the field. So what I mean by that is if we're working on a situation, the VPSO would call that trooper oversight and get guidance on what might be some of the next steps, whether to arrest, not to arrest, in that respect. So the state troopers are a huge partner, but we also have partners, Coast Guard, any other search and rescue entities, we're partnering with them. That just enables us to provide the product that we provide in our communities.
Yeah, great. Can you give us any updates on any of the recent activities in the program?
Sure, President Pearson. You know what, I have to apologize. I should have explained a little bit better in the beginning, and it just came to mind. I'll backtrack just a little bit on the program itself. So the program is administered, so the funds come from Alaska legislator, and that is run through the Department of Public Safety. So we work through the Department of Public Safety in administering the program. There are 9 other organizations, just like Tlingit Haida, who administer their respective region. So there's 10 entities in total that run this program. So going back to your question now, there's a lot of things happening. Obviously, COVID kind of slowed things down, just like the rest of the world. But our men and women were still out providing the services in our communities. Currently, we have one officer who is at ALET, which is where they go to get trained, the training academy. And that's a 16-week academy. Once they complete that, there's another 2-week fire training that happens so they can get specific fire training for their community. We also have various trainings. As we have some new officers within our program, we have various trainings for these officers so that they can get up to speed on the services that they're providing. So what I mean by that is, being able to carry their respective tools, a baton, and pepper spray, or OC, and their taser. They need to be trained in these things before being able to carry those. So these are some of the things that are activities that were happening right now.
Great. What are some of the eligibility requirements to become a VPSO?
That's great question. We're always recruiting. Right now, fortunately for Tlingit Haida, we've experienced a large influx of applicants over the last year, which by statute, we're allowed to have a maximum of 2 VPSOs per community. And that's where we're at right now. So we're very fortunate in that respect. It hasn't always been that way. Over the last, I'm going to say 4 to 5 years, we've experienced a big lull in applicants for our program in general, not just within Tlingit Haida, but also with the state of Alaska. As far as eligibility is concerned, we are looking at needing to be 21, a United States resident, having a clean background, and really just a good moral character. But those people, if we have people in our communities, please, if you're interested in applying for this job, whether it's in your community or another community, highly recommend you go to Tlingit Haida Central Council's website. On there is go to jobs, and if you scroll down, you'll see VPSO application. Once you get there, it's a very simple application to be able to fill out and be able to happy to help you. Also, if you're not interested, or you have people coming back from military, college, not sure what they want to do, and this is the field of interest, whether it's in Southeast Alaska, we would be able to help with the whole state of Alaska. So in that respect, we could also, we can assist that through Tlingit Haida, or you can go to the State of Alaska Department of Public Safety website, and they'd be able to help you as well.
Great. I think that's really exciting, you know, and that there's opportunity across the state of Alaska in the VPSO program. And I know you work really closely with the coordinators in the other regions. So I think Jason's a real resource if people are tuned in right now and you're interested, and you know you want to come to Southeast or any other region, reach out, and Jason can make those connections. I'd like to turn now to our VPSOs and hear from them on where they are located, their qualifications, specializations, well as their goals and what they're passionate about in the community they serve. And I'll turn to Shannon and Matthew first. Thank you guys for being here today. We're thankful for your service and all that you do. You know, starting either with Shannon or Matthew, can you tell us about your background and how you decided to become a VPSO?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is VPSO Shannon Bosdell. I'm one of the 2 VPSOs that proudly serves here in Thorn Bay, Alaska. We're located on Prince of Wales Island with a population of our village of about 500 people and approximately 6,000 people total for the whole of Prince of Wales Island. Some of my background is almost 20 years I worked within the medical field, both in trauma medicine and nurse administration before this. I continued on with my work to work both in front of and behind the camera on TV series, such as a survival expert, search and rescue expert, man tracking, and escape and evasion expert for several TV shows around the world. Moving to Prince of Wales Island here has given me a chance to use the skills. And when Tlingit Haida gave me this opportunity to use all of my lifetime worth of skills as a VPSO, it's been my honor to both serve with Tlingit Haida and my community. I've been with Tlingit Haida for just a little over a year now, and as many VPSOs do, have taken on other roles within my community that I serve. Here in Thorn Bay, I'm also the Emergency Services Director for Thorn Bay, and for my island, I am the Prince of Wales Search and Rescue Director for all of Prince of Wales. The parts of my job that I'm the most passionate about is serving my community and seeing the effects that we make as VPSOs as a whole, we make on our communities, to include law enforcement, educational opportunities that we offer to the youth of our villages, and being a point of contact for Tlingit Haida within the communities that we serve. I'm currently working with Tlingit Haida to create a Southeast Alaska-wide VPSO-driven search and rescue unit with the skills and resources to react to search and rescues for all the communities of Southeast Alaska, expanding on the skills that all of us as VPSOs already offer to our villages. I want to thank Tlingit Haida for the opportunity that has given me to serve my community and the people of Alaska.
Thank you, Shannon. Matthew?
Yeah, hi, my name is VPSO Matthew McGinnis. Just a little about me. When I got out of high school, I joined the Army. I served 5 years as a medic. When I got out of the Army, I worked in medical research. I worked with kids with behavioral issues, and I worked in patient care in a hospital. One of the reasons I became a VPSO is I was just kind of floating around from job to job. I've got a buddy in the state troopers, and he knew I wanted a career, and he pointed me in the direction of the VPSO program. He knew I didn't just want to do law enforcement, but I also wanted to wear some of these other hats, such as EMS, fire, and search and rescue. One of the special projects I'm going to be working on is I just moved to Thorn Bay from the interior region. I used to work with the nonprofit Tanana Chiefs Conference. So I've been a VPSO for about a year and a half now, and I just got to Tlingit Haida maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. But it looks like I'm going to become the new fire chief of Thorn Bay. So that's going to take a lot of my attention. I'm really excited to do that, to get this fire department, serving the community and meeting the goals of the city council. Another thing I'm really passionate about is just affecting positive change in my community. And you'll probably hear that from a lot of us. A lot of us really like helping people. I know personally, I get something out of that. And that's what I got.
Thank you there. You guys both kind of touched on this, but talking a little bit about how you've been serving your community, are there any special projects you're working on or areas of your service that you are most passionate about?
Yeah, so my special project coming up is going to be the fire department. We kind of went in and did a little inventory and saw what was working, but I need to go in and figure out what fire trucks are actually working, what pumps are working, how much hose we actually have, how much good reliable hose we have. We need to go pressure test all of that stuff. So that's going to be my special project coming up.
Great. Well, that's exciting to hear. Like I said, I grew up in the village of Kisan there on Prince of Wales, and you guys seem to be pretty heavily involved in the search and rescue and fire. And, those can be some real missing components in our communities. It's all about the human resources that are there. And unfortunately, one of the things that we experience in the villages is everything's the same few people kind of doing everything, and they burn out. And so having the VPSO program and having these positions in, you can bring somebody in and it can be part of their job. And I really love that and being able to do that. I'm excited about Tlingit Haida's recent, formation of our emergency operations center. And, Matt touched on something in the fire department. Some of our communities, their turnout gear, their equipment is, can be decades and decades old. It can be expired. It can be not working. And our hope with our emergency operations center, which I think you guys as VPSOs will be a real conduit for, is being able to provide a resource where we can provide training that's needed in our communities. We can help and assist with grants. We can either refer you to a grant or even write it on your behalf if you don't have that capacity. But building up that network in our region, I think, is imperative to the safety. We live in rural Alaska. You can be out and it could be flat calm when you leave the dock, and by the time you're out, fishing or beachcomb, whatever you're doing, the weather can switch on you and you can be in peril without even knowing it. So it's great to start seeing these resources develop. So, I guess if someone were in a situation needing a VPSO's help, how would they get a hold of you?
So there's a handful of ways that somebody could reach us. One of the most common ways is going to be through our city issued cell phone. We share city issued cell phone depending on who's on and who's off. Another way is Alaska State Trooper Dispatch can contact us. Their office here on Craig can contact us. Even while we try to make our presence known in the community, we spend a lot of time patrolling. We can be flagged down. It's not uncommon to be flagged down while we're patrolling or while we're in the office here. It's not uncommon to get walk-ins either. VPSO Bosdale also set up a Thorn Bay EMS dispatch team, and they could get a hold of us too. So if somebody calls Thorn Bay EMS dispatch, they know our personal cells and can directly get in contact with us.
Great. Hey, Jason, can you tell us about our VPSO officers and in Kisan and Saxman? Any recent activity in those communities?
Thank you, President Pearson. So our officer in the community of Kasan, he's been there now, I'm thinking it's about 5 years, maybe just a little bit longer, but ex-JPD officer who was on the force for, it was 2 years, raising his family in Kasan. And
Hey, Jason, you might turn off your
amazing
camera.
things there. He's also a big part of their fire department in Kasan.
Jason,
Yes, sir.
we're starting to lose you. You're breaking out. If you try turning off your camera, we might be able to hear you clearly.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So I apologize, President Pearson. I'm not sure what's going on there, but going back to VPSO Zach West, was a police officer in Juneau, was an officer here for 2 to 3 years, moved to the community of Kasan and has been there for about 4 or 5 years now. Has been doing a great job there. It's a big part of the fire department, and then also working in close conjunction with the community of Thorn Bay. Our officer that's in, our new officer in the community of Saxman is currently at ALET, which again is the 16-week academy, training him to be the VPSO. And we're really excited about him getting in that community. So that's where we're at, President Pearson.
Great. I'll turn to the community of Angoon, to Greg and Brian. Thank you guys for joining us today. And again, thank you for your service. Can you tell us where you're from and how you came to be a VPSO? We'll start with Greg.
All right, I'm actually gonna have Greg pull up here next to us so we can share a screen so we don't have echo. So, you want to go first? Okay, he wants me to go first if that's okay.
Go for it.
Okay, so my name is Brian Shoemate. I'm originally from Orange County, California, and I ended up here in a remote community of less than 500 people. So it's quite a, vastly different than where I'm originally from. But what brought me to Alaska, I planned on originally moving up here several years ago and stuck with that plan. I worked for several private security firms. And when I moved here, we had some property that we had got a hold of, and they had no law enforcement. So essentially it was, it's very, very difficult for troopers or any form of law enforcement to fly in. And, there's communities here where when you have an emergency, you can't wait for someone to fly in. I mean, sometimes it could be weather dependent where no planes can get out for several days. Just recently, I was stuck in Juneau for a few days, just to give an example of that. And if someone, is in dire need of law enforcement, it's really, really crucial to have us here because it's a big part of the community. Not only law enforcement, but as President Peterson mentioned before, we also do EMT, we do fire, we do search and rescue, and the platform kind of just it extends from there. So I ended up getting on board in 2016. And I graduated in the Alaska State Trooper Academy, ALET 1701. I am now a corporal within the ranks of the VPSO program, which I'm very honored to have been able to get a hold of that. And being here as a VPSO, it's a pretty special thing to experience because the community really depends on you. And if you're someone who likes giving back, it really does, fulfill that. And you can always go forth from there. I was adopted into the Kagwantong clan. So same clan as Mr. President Peterson. I was given the Tlingit name Kudach. So I am Eagle Wolf, which is opposite from my other half. She's Raven Beaver. Greg here, he just jumped on board. I've been here for almost going on 5 years now, and I finally have a partner here to work with me, and it's just been a great pleasure. The community of Angoon is, as all communities are quite unique. And what we've been able to accomplish here is we've revamped our fire department here in the last 2 years when really they didn't have anything orchestrated too well to where it was very fluid or dynamic in that sense. And, responding to calls and stuff like that, we've slowly been able to bring the community together to work as a whole in order to accomplish these things. And that includes medevacs. And like I said, there's a plethora of responsibilities that the VPSOs are involved in. I'm also state certified as a Alaska boater safety instructor. I've completed the advanced course for forensics and criminal crime lab, and I teach the bushcraft and survival at the Angoon High School. So those are just a few things to dabble on, and which I'm involved in here in the community of Angoon. Go.
Well, hello, I am Officer Martinez from the here in the community of Angoon. I come from back south in San Diego, born and raised. What brought me here was long story, but I just chose this career because it's my dream to become law enforcement. So this would be a good stepping stone to follow in. And I'll be heading to the Nets A-Lit in a couple of months. So I'm excited about that. So
yeah, he's been able to get a lot of learning experience here. So I think it's kind of good for him.
Talking about the learning experience, you want to talk a little bit about some of the watercraft training and any of the new equipment you've received to better accomplish your duties?
Oh, absolutely. So recently, actually last year, we had training on these new Illuma Pros, which help us with search and rescue and putting out boat fires. Now here in Angoon, personally, we've had several boat fires where it's very difficult for the fire department to get their gear down out to the boat harbor. These watercraft have water cannons on them, which allow us to get in areas that you normally wouldn't with traditional fire equipment. Also, Angoon is like a labyrinth of little islands where it's like a maze going up inside where you can't necessarily get up there in a traditional watercraft. So having that Illuma Pro allows us to get in all the nooks and crannies of all the inlets up inside. You know, for outsiders, it's very, very difficult for them to go travel up there just because there's so many uncharted rocks. You can end up destroying your hull or your prop. What the Illuma Pros allow us to do is get into those areas that aren't necessarily accessible by traditional watercraft. So it's an absolute crucial tool to have here in our community because we don't have a traditional airport either. The only way to get in or out of Angoon is by float plane or by boat. So if you're not coming in on the ferry, then the only way you'd be able to get out is by aircraft. We do have a helipad here that's located at the track and field, but as for transportation, we only have 2.5 miles of roadway here. So the main means of transportation for a lot of the locals is watercraft. So it's very, 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 very awesome that we're able to get that type of equipment put here in Angoon because they haven't had anything like that before, aside from a very large search and rescue boat, like I said, that cannot get into all the water access ways. So that has to do with the new watercraft equipment that we currently have here in the community.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. I've seen it firsthand. I'm sorry we don't have any photos of it up actually, because it's pretty impressive. And I know that our team has actually worked with the manufacturer and made a lot of modifications to the design so that it really works well for our environment and for what you're trying to accomplish. And I think that's pretty exciting. It's high speed, it's durable, it can get in and out of places. And I guess if you kind of picture a jet ski on steroids with a water cannon on it, that's what you got. But
absolutely, we pushed into the limits in catch can, and all the flaws that we did find in it, they improved them, and they are pretty much darn near bulletproof. As you said, they're pretty much a Sea-Doo on steroids.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I think I'll ask our folks to post some photos of it later on our Facebook page, because I think it's pretty impressive. And you know, people think, oh, like a jet ski and think of the recreation, but man, it's really a durable sea craft. And you know, I grew up, like I said, in the village. I know what it's like to get in and out of spots, and it's pretty impressive. And I'm excited to have those. So is there any outreach being done in your community to inform people of the program and what it seeks to do, including like safety tips, survival training, gun safety, things of that nature?
Absolutely. We're constantly evolving, trying to informing the public of new and ongoing things. We have a very good volunteer fire department team that's also been on board. And, we try to involve ourselves as much as we can with the youth here in Angoon. That includes the elementary and the high school. And, we figure our youth is our future. So if we can focus on them, and, they're going to be choosing career paths in the future. And this is something where a lot of the youth here are interested in the VPSO program, which is amazing because, some of them, are born and raised here. Instead of having outsiders come, I think it's imperative that, it's super important that you get people who are from the community. Talking to a lot of the locals here, you have all the time in the world. We don't get the high call volumes that you do in the big city. And that's what makes the difference, is giving people the time to explain what it is that they got going on and how you can help assist them with that. There's no rushing anything. If you're rushing stuff, you probably shouldn't be in this job, because you need to be there for the people and take the time to assist them with it. And you get better results that way. I think that's why the community embraces you versus, casting you out and banishing you from the community. So it's a very, very, amazing feeling that you can't really describe when you have people here that it's like having a family. They may be upset with you at some times when you may have to talk to them, but they always end up in forgiving you or strengthening that relationship. And I think that's amazing. It's an absolute privilege to be here.
Well, again, growing up in my village, being a past mayor and tribal president in my village, I think it's that relationship between the VPSOs and the community is imperative. And if you want to see it not work, you'll see where there's no communication and they're not talking to each other. It's really important to get engaged and do that. So switching over to cake, Charles and Matthew, thank you for joining us today. And again, thank you for your service. Why don't we start with Charles, if you want to introduce yourself, and then we'll turn to Matt.
All right. Thank you for having me on here. My name is Charlie McAnally. I go by Mac. I was raised in Selawik, Alaska in the Northwest. My accent comes from my parents, and I guess while I was in college in Mississippi. My parents and families from Mississippi. I was in law enforcement for about 18 years and had retired and missed it. So I decided to get back into law enforcement. And instead of going with the troopers or municipal police departments, I wanted to be a VPSO because it's much, much more rewarding, and we get a lot more training and experience than the troopers do, or municipal cops. And I love training. And being out in a small remote village, it's much more rewarding than it is working in a city where you don't get to know the people. Out here, we get to know everyone. But I was a combat medic advanced for 8 years in the military, and I was also a fireman. And I served in Iraq for 3 years as a private contractor on a law enforcement type team. I wasn't with the military over there. And I love all aspects of it, the fire, the EMS. And so the VPSO was a good fit, I think. And moving out to Cake, sometimes VPSOs in other places don't seem to get along well, have problems. And Cake accepted me with wide open arms, and I absolutely love it here. My wife and I have a group home license. We foster kids, and we've adopted 5. Some are Inupiat, and the others are Native American Indian. So we've got a mixture of kids that mean the world to me. Things we're working on here is we are in the final stages of starting up a DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles, for the community of Cake and surrounding areas, where we can do everything from give driver's license to vehicle registrations. Everything can be issued here, so people don't have to travel out of the community to get it. VPSO Nunley and I both have been teaching in a school, teaching the driver's ed book. And I'm a proctor to where I can test the students afterwards and help get them their license. I'm currently working on becoming a fire instructor. I'm currently a police instructor for the state of Alaska and a international instructor for the Department of Justice. And I'm currently working on becoming a fire instructor as well, and hosting the 100-hour rural firefighting school out here in Cake. Our first one should be coming up in a few months. I'm currently renewing my EMT license and my EMT instructor's license so that I'll be able to teach EMT classes here as well. And in May, I will be attending the Hunter's Education Instructor's course so that I can teach hunter safety in the school as well. Part of the projects that VPSO Nunley and I are working on to help the program and help the communities is we're working on starting up a farm here. As everyone knows, being out in the village, the cost of food is crazy high. And not only that, everything being shipped in, food's not as fresh. So I have a lot of experience in farming, so we're trying to start up a farm here. We're working with Cake Tribal to secure some land and other agencies for the funding and making it a community-wide network where everyone's involved.
It sounds pretty exciting that you got a lot going on and really getting integrated into the community. That's awesome. But let's introduce Matt.
All right.
Thank you, President Peterson. VPSO McNally already mentioned my name is Matthew Nunley. I started my basically my public service in the fire department, Astoria in Oregon. Then I joined the Marine Corps, did 2 tours, 3 operations, combat vet. Then after that, I got 2 degrees in psychology. While I was going to college, I was a 3-sport college athlete, and I, between sports, started my own bounty hunting business in Los Angeles. Did some bounty hunting down there. Then I started my law enforcement career in juvenile corrections, and before going to patrol for the Cannon Beach in Oregon as a police officer. I lateraled to Craig Police Department in 2018 and eventually made my way here with the Tlingit Haida. Absolutely love all aspects of the job. I have a passion for law enforcement, firefighting, EMS, search and rescue. When I was a police officer with my previous agencies, I put a heavy emphasis in those 3 non-law enforcement aspects. I found myself fighting fires as a police officer. I was also a volunteer simultaneously, one of my agencies. I prided myself in always being a first responder for EMS calls, as well as taking charge on search and rescue. So this is just a perfect fit where now explicitly these are primary parts of my job. But what I really, really enjoy about the VPSO program more than any of my previous agencies I worked for is that there's so much more that we get to be involved in. We, like VPSO McNally said, we're in the process of trying to start a farm. We're starting a DMV. We're going to be hunter safety instructors here shortly. And there's a number of other projects, like with the schools asked us to be able to come in and give public safety talks, as well as I have the hope, once we get the fire department up and running, to build a fire cadet program for the high schoolers. Further, another exciting thing is looking to help bring additional athletic opportunities to the schools here. I'm going to be in talks with them here shortly, and have been preliminarily about bringing wrestling to elementary level kids, as well as potentially 6-man football to high school, and hopefully can spread that out through the rest of rural Alaska. So just the opportunity to be able to live in a remote community, get to know the people that you're working with, and be able to do more than just police, fire, EMS, search and rescue is really what makes this opportunity greater than most.
Well, great. You guys heard I heard a little bit about a recent collaboration with the U.S. Department of Agriculture and CAKE. Can you tell us more about that and any other recent activities or programs you're developing for outreach you'd like to highlight?
Yeah.
Either Charles or Matthew.
Well, real quick, the pictures that's pulled up on the screen right now is me volunteering with the food program that's here. I help deliver the food boxes that come in. But as far as the Department of Agriculture, there'll actually be several agencies, both federal and statewide, that'll be involved in this farming program that we're doing. It's the USDA will be involved, Department of Agriculture, and then the state, and then also universities throughout Alaska that have any type of farming program. They'll be involved as well. We're trying to make it as all-inclusive as possible.
Great.
Exactly, and just to add to that, once we get this thing up and running, we're going to be able to incorporate the community we serve, as well as get Future Farmers of America going for the kids and get them involved, and additional opportunities like that.
That's pretty exciting to hear. Well, great. I'm going to turn over to the community of Pelican then, and to Emily. Emily, you there with us?
Yes, I am. Hi. Can you hear me?
You're a little spotty, and so we're going to try it, but if not, we'll move on. And thanks for joining us today, and thank you for your service. Can you tell us about the community you serve and give us a brief background on how you became a VPSO in Pelican?
Yes, thank you for having me on here. My name is Emily McCardle. I'm the VPSO out in Pelican. I'm originally from Spokane, but I've been living in Ketchikan for the last 2 years before I moved up to Pelican about 6 months ago to be the VPSO there. My experience is mostly in fire, law enforcement, and search and rescue. I've been an EMT for over 12 years in a mountainous environment, so remote medicine mostly. Was a firefighter in Ketchikan and as well as in Spokane for a bit. And I always loved the outdoors and have loved Alaska and couldn't wait to move to Pelican. Pelican is a very small community on Chichikov Island. We have about 80 year-round residents, and we swell to just under 200 during the summer.
Well, great, Emily. So what are the pros and cons of working in a remote and small village, and what kind of challenges do you face when in the line of duty there?
Oh, there's lots of pros. You get to know everybody very quickly. Everybody becomes your family, which I guess can also sometimes be a con as well. But I'd say probably for me, the biggest con is communication out there. Our internet and our phone lines are constantly down. So just communicating between my coworkers and Jason and also state troopers and Coast Guard can sometimes be a challenge out in Pelican.
So Emily, you recently worked with the youth. Can you educate them on public safety and some of our first responders? Can you tell us more about this outreach opportunity?
Yeah, in Pelican, I am the EMS coordinator as well as the fire chief and director of search and rescue. And I've been putting on different clinics for the kids at the school there. We've pictures shown here is a cold water submersion class and a tour of the fire department, where we also did a fire safety program for them. We also did a meet and greet, kind of a Q&A session with me when I first came into town, where I explained to the kids what a VPSO is and why I was in the community to help them and to make the community safe and to bring education opportunities as well.
Great. Can you talk about some of the goals of the VPSO program as a whole and any personal goals for you personally?
Yeah, so the VPSO program is designed to put a person into remote communities with training in law enforcement, search and rescue, EMS, and fire. A lot of our big hub cities or cities on such as Juneau, Anchorage, and Fairbanks, they have their own police departments and troopers and fire and EMS, but our small communities don't. So the VPSO program is great because at least one person in the community has the training and is able to get there and start up programs. Many of us have started the fire departments and EMS from the ground up and have trained other people within the community and now have great running fire department, search and rescue teams, and EMS as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, goals for me and my community. I really would like to continue doing the safety programs with the kids in the school. And I'd also like to bring a culture camp into our community as well and bring some more cultural things to the community.
Great. Well, I think we have some programs that might be able to assist you with that. So make sure we're connecting. So this is to all of you. Are there any other projects we haven't talked about that you'd like to touch on?
Yes. Here in Cake, VPSO McAnally, he is a very experienced and accomplished diver in law enforcement, and I'll kind of pass that on to him, but we're looking to get a dive program going. And then additionally, I've been working with a squadron of Civil Air Patrol on Prince of Wales and talks with them about getting some search and rescue resources going, both there and here in collaboration, in particular with use of drones. I'm excited to be working further with that. That'll be Johnny Rice there in Craig. I've been talking with for quite a while, and be excited to see kind of what opportunities we can create there. But VPSO McNally, do you want to talk about the dive team?
Well, I'm a police diving instructor trainer, and that's quite different from just being a diver. Being a diver basically certifies you and trains you to
Get out of there.
be a recreation, to have fun. Being a police diver is training to do work underwater. And what I'd like to do, and maybe when the funding is available, be able to purchase equipment for each VPSO and me train them as a police diver that will help with recovery for victims that go in the water, helps recover boats, evidence, just lost items. There's been several times where people have drowned and never been found. And having a certified police diver that's equipped and ready to go can give closure to families. And so I hope to get that going in the future.
That's great. Yeah. Sorry, you probably heard me yelling at the dog. That's the beauty of doing these Zooms. Hey, Corey Padron's on, and Corey, a former VPSO and works in our emergency operations center. I know one of the things that we heard several times today is communications issues, and I know you've got some goals and aspirations for that. Do you want to briefly talk about that?
Absolutely. Can you hear me okay? One of the things I've been working on, so I used to be the VPSO first sergeant in the community of Saxman, and before that Angoon. So I really love those communities. I was promoted to this position of regional emergency manager for Tlingit Haida's Tribal Emergency Operations Center. And with that, I kind of take the big picture look at what are the problems, what are the hazards. One of the things we identified early on was the lack of communications for our officers and for our communities in Southeast Alaska. And so what we did was we found a grant that would provide the funding to create a communications network that would then relay VHF radio throughout Southeast. So we got funded for that, and probably we'll have that implemented in the next 3 months, where our officers will be able to key up a mic and talk to somebody in dispatch in the TEOC or each other. Whereas right now they don't have that. We expect that with other police agencies in the lower 48 and even across Alaska. And our officers, as they go to sometimes violent situations to get backup, if backup's available, they have to try to back out, use their cell phone, and place a call for help. And that's just not acceptable. So I've been working very hard with my team here at the Tribal Emergency Operations Center, and we've got the first big step in the solution to make our officers and our communities safer. So I'm the wish list guy for these guys. I go out and I try to find the money for them to get them the tools they need to do what they got to do.
Yeah, you talk about the communications, and that's so important, and you can take it for granted, but it really opens us up to a lot of vulnerability, liability, safety issues. So I'm excited that we're going down this avenue. And yeah, I think anything we can do to provide the tools necessary, we're going to try to do. So that's exciting. I know we're closing in on time today. I really just want to thank all of you guys. I'm going to take a few questions that we got from viewers. Looking at the questions, there's some real questions, just how people can be eligible. So, maybe Jason and Corey can take a look at those and provide those in the comments. Shannon Mason asked, does the lower 48 have any sort of VPSO program equivalent on the reservations? And the short answer is no. The VPSO program is extremely unique to Alaska. And this isn't a native or tribal program. It is actually a state program that is contracted and operated through the tribe and other tribal nonprofits. But yeah, it's very different. And, most of the land-based reservation tribes have their own tribal police force because Alaska tribes really aren't land-based. There's a lot fewer of those. There are programs called tribal police officers, village police officers, which are different, and you can get funding for those. Really competitive, and there's not a lot of those here in Alaska. Again, so from Amanda Sagut Dequak, I'm going to say that Dequak, I'm sorry, your name. Will you be hiring people of Cake to help assist with the farm? Is that going to be a OVK project?
No, it'll be a private project that includes all parts. What I'm trying to get them to do is lease me the land, and then I'm applying for grants and other funding from different agencies. So it'll be a private farm, but I'm working to include everybody, make it all inclusive and hire locals and provide cheaper food.
Great, thanks. Last question. How has COVID-19 hampered the VPSO's ability to do your jobs, and what funding and assistance has your programs received to make your jobs safer? Thank you for your service. And that's from Martin Stepton, Senior. I'm sure Jason or Corey. Jason, you want to take that question?
Sure. Thank you, President Pearson. Really, making sure these guys were outfitted with PPE items was really important. But really also when we talk about making sure they have the right equipment to respond to different various types of calls has been our focus in our communities. Addressing, looking at what are the needs and then trying to fill those needs with the proper equipment has been our focus over the last year or so.
Thanks. Well, again, that really concludes the questions and everything we have. I again want to thank our VPSOs. Thank you for joining us today. Thanks for stepping outside of some of your comfort zones and everything, and really appreciate everything you do in our communities. That everyone be safe, and I will announce this week's door prize winners. For the Hydro Flask, we have Tia Silva Martin, and for David Boxley Formline T-shirt, Laverne Cook Wise. So if you ladies will message our page with your contact info, we'll get those out to you right away. Again, to make sure to keep an eye on our Facebook page, we'll be announcing our next lunchtime chat. And thank you, everybody, and be well and be safe.